Hey, Assaf, it is great to see you again.
Hey Andrew, good to see you too.
You are the first ever two-time guest on the NTM Growth Marketing podcast. So I didn't share with you beforehand, but I'm excited to be speaking with you again today. And you're actually, by the time this post, you're at a different organization called Gelt. And I would love to dive right in and hear from you. What is your new organization about? What is your role at the company?
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me again. I did not know that. I feel very honored. So I joined Gelt about a month and a half ago, so still quite fresh in the role as Gelt's new head of growth, where I oversee both marketing and sales, which I'll get to in a second, why I think this combination is actually uh, is great, especially at an early age startup. Gelt is a tech-based um, a tech-based tax startup. So we help high net worth individuals and businesses optimize their taxes. We work only with US taxes. Um, the company is about 3 years old. We're about 27 people. So yeah, quite early on in our stage, just before Series A.
Tell me a little bit about that role of merging marketing and sales of head of growth. You were giving us a little foreshadowing that you wanted to share some. I want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit more about that role and what the day in the life of Asaf looks like now.
Yeah, sure. So actually, when I joined the company, I thought I'll only be taking on marketing. And then a couple of days into my new role, my CEO, who I love, Tal, was like, by the way, you're going to be also running the sales team. The sales team at this point is just one person, Spencer. He's incredible, a really, really great and professional guy. He's a CPA and he's a really, really great salesperson. So that mix, is great for what Gelt is at the moment. What I see the main value is being by both of these, I guess, functions being under one umbrella or one person at this point, is that there's no break in the funnel, right? So the marketing funnel and the sales funnel is one funnel. Every effort that I do as currently the marketing person, I run by the sales guy, by Spencer. We work on this together. When he has questions, he comes to me as well, and there's much more synchrony. Obviously, this also comes as part of the fact that Gelt is a much smaller organization. So synchrony between two people is way easier than between 15. Uh, but both these functions being together, hopefully, as the company grows, will continue to have that kind of synchrony effects between two departments.
Uh, what I recall from our Zen City conversation was there's a lot of in-person marketing you were actually doing. With Gelt, is this a in-person effort? Is it completely online at the moment? Like, where are the growth hacks that you're looking at with Gelt at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's a completely different approach to marketing at this point. We have not yet tested in-person events or conferences. It's something that I'm looking to get into a little bit further down, maybe towards the new year, because in the meantime, digital marketing is working pretty well. So there's pretty solid, kind of nice trickling down flow of inbounds. We're about to start running a few online campaigns, so paid campaigns through LinkedIn, a little bit later on on Instagram as well, and with partner newsletters too. That's also coming up real soon. And I have to say that when it comes to people's finances, right, because Gelt helps people optimize their taxes, a lot of it is word of mouth. People will hire an accountant, will hire a CPA, will hire, a wealth manager, a financial advisor, mostly based on advice from somebody that they trust. It could be their friend, it could be their family member, but a lot of it could be from influencer that they trust. So one avenue or one channel of marketing that we see is working for us is actually sort of podcast influencers. We work really well with All the Hacks by Chris Hutchins and Amy. We get a lot of leads through that podcast, and they've been really helpful. They're also a client of ours who have seen value. So when they publicize or advertise Gelt, it's from their own personal experience. And a few others, Legacy Point Group, that kind of caters to dentists. So we're seeing it kind of by verticals, could be by profession, architect, that caters to architects and planners. So kind of by verticals, by people that they trust. These leads are coming in at the moment, more of an inbound style. Yeah.
I would love to hear from you how you build that trust with individuals. So I'll be honest, when I love AI, we've met, I trust you. Even going on Gelt's website, one of my initial roadblocks, if that's the right word, was an AI to replace my text strategist. Like, oh, I really like calling James whenever I want. So even with all those things, I even had some, my initial no's to what Gelt is up to. So I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you build that trust and overcome these objections to replacing a human with AI?
Yeah. So first of all, it's a good point that you mentioned. If that's the impression you got, then maybe I need to revise the copy a little bit. But the AI
That was
does
just
not.
me being cynical because I like my human tax strategist.
But you still, even with Gelt, you still have a human touch. The AI does not replace the CPA or the tax professional. It supports them. So, and it acts both ways. One is in the back end, helping us develop the platform and kind of the tools that the CPAs are using to automate a lot of their tasks so that they can focus on strategy and planning rather than, filing and moving things around and making sure all the inputs are correct. That's one aspect. And the other aspect is the client-facing platform where AI is helping both kind of craft strategies that the client can then, with their CPA, adapt and tailor to their needs, but also, the different functions and widgets on the platform for the client to use. I'll say that what I think Gelt's sort of unique approach, the unique approach that Gelt takes compared to other CPA companies or other tax firms is beyond just the use of technology. It's the kind of changing the perception of what's the role of your CPA, beyond just filing your taxes, beyond just talking to you once a year around tax season. You can optimize your taxes you can optimize your taxes probably year round if your tax situation is complex enough, right? If it's just a salary situation or a W-2 situation, there's probably not much that a strategy call with Gelt can do. But even then, you'll be surprised at some of the suggestions that we make that really help people. But this approach of being proactive, being strategic about your taxes, that's something that Gelt, I think, stands out in the market of tax professionals.
When you're thinking about your ICP, I interpret that as you're going up market to high net worth individuals. Why did you decide on that as your ICP versus, I hate saying like down market, but to the average W-2 employee? Why was that your strategy with your ICP?
So I think it's twofold. One, the sort of down market or the down market is quite saturated with sort of tools like TurboTax, etc., which provide the basic kind of needs that to get you through to the filings. But what I would say, and that's probably okay for a lot of people, but once your tax situation becomes more complicated, let's say you have to file taxes in a few states, you have investments in real estate, in bonds, etc., that's when the Gelt magic, I guess, comes in. That's when our CPAs and our AI working together can really help you understand what moves you should do, what moves you should take in order to optimize the outcomes and, again, minimize your liabilities. And it's not just we're giving you advice and then you have to go ahead and do it yourself. Gelt also acts as we file your taxes. So we basically replace your CPA. So you get a lot more in terms of the strategy with all the compliance that is necessary, obviously.
You talked earlier about larger companies and making sure marketing and sales are on the same page. That could be dozens of people trying to align. It sounds like it's you and just Spencer trying to get on the same page. What advice do you have when you are a lean, mean fighting machine in marketing or sales and just making sure both departments are on the same page and marching towards the goals together? Because if you didn't get along with, one person, that could be a tough dynamic. Maybe you had like 5 other people you could try to team up with. So I'd love to hear how you and Spencer get on the same page and merge marketing and sales.
It's a good question. Obviously, we'll have to probably have another recording in a few years when the sales and marketing teams are bigger and let's say, hopefully align. I think a lot of it is obviously open communication, right? There's a lot of his experience that I lean on, and my experience that he leans on. There's a lot of working together and thinking together through strategies. So whether it's a campaign that we want to run, right? If I use not the right, I guess, copy for it, that then makes him, come out as non-trustworthy on the sales call, that's bad. So we're making sure that wherever we're saying in the marketing prospects is then reflected on the sales call. How do we optimize pricing? How do we optimize billing, right? These kind of functions that are a little bit more technical, but obviously prospects need to know, clients need to know. So that's something that we're working on together as well. And I think, hearing the salesperson out, at the end of the day, he's in the front lines, getting on all the calls with all the prospects. He knows what's working, what's not working. I can give him pointers here and there, but it's really listening in and understanding what's working for him and how I can support the work that he does.
So as we look further down the line, and it sounds like you're going to be doing some advertising, podcasting, it sounds like maybe some joint ventures and newsletters. How are you going to measure success in these initiatives? What are the KPIs that are going to be important for you?
Well, obviously lead generation, but that's just one thing. So we'll look at how many leads are coming in through the funnel, through each of these channels. And we have quite a robust system on the tool that we're using, that we're always improving and implementing kind of new initiatives to make sure that it runs smoother. We're using HubSpot, by the way. And beyond just lead generation, obviously deals closing. So I want to make sure that we're cutting the time between the person who submitted an interested form online, scheduled a call, had the call, got the quote, signed a quote. So we'll be looking at minimizing those times, increasing the ratio. And once we move forward, also how many people renew their contract. So far, we have pretty high renewal stats at Gelt, and looking to keep that high, especially as the company is growing, and you need to always be attuned to that, especially in a market where it's very, like I said, kind of word of mouth. If one client dislikes you, that's bad.
Right. When you're thinking about storytelling in these advertising campaigns, when you're in the newsletters, what is your thought process on that effective story that you want to be sharing? And why is that important?
That was the first thing that I was a little bit wary about when I joined Gelt. I was like, taxes, that's so boring. How do you make that interesting? How do you make taxes sexy, basically, which was my pitch when I applied for this job. But diving deeper and deeper into this and working with Tal, the CEO, I've learned so much myself, and I've learned how interesting this could be if you tackle it from the right angle. For example, how will the US elections affect taxes? What are some taxidents, we're calling them, that people do, that businesses do? What are tax hacks that everyday person can make in order to improve their situation? So there's a lot of these things. I think, especially when it comes to money, people start listening when you can help them avoid making a mistake or help them hack something. People love that. So we'll be focusing on that. And I think for the strategy that we're looking to take, we'll be mostly sort of reviving our LinkedIn page. It hasn't been really active, but so we'll share content on there, and also on Instagram, which I think has to be a little bit lighter, different type of language. There we'll talk more to people about what they can do with the money that they have left over from paying less taxes, hopefully. So we'll take different approaches in different mediums, see what sticks, and grow from there.
When you're thinking about future marketing campaigns, maybe this is the difference between, I don't know if that was ignorant calling it down market versus up market, but I think of like the average W-2 employee as someone who's frantically trying to find a tax team in March, so their taxes get filed in time in mid-April, whenever that date is. Do you see from just a market sophistication standpoint that high net worth individuals are frantically trying to use your solution potentially in March, or because this is all year round tax solutions, that it's not necessarily like a big push you need to do at the end of the year to get Gelt on board and fire your CPA firm?
Yeah, so
That might be early question to ask because you haven't gone through a tax season just yet with Gelt.
exactly, but I've looked into it because that was my hunch, and it's true. Your hunch is correct as well. Around tax season, sales pick up. The CPAs are overwhelmed with work. We're trying to onboard new clients, doing a lot of prospecting calls as well. And part of what I'm trying to do now, you'll hopefully run across these ads in the next coming days, in the next few days, is kind of break that myth of tax season, which is when everybody's frantic about it and nobody gets, the optimal solution in the end. Because now July, August is actually the time where you can still make moves to really optimize your returns for this year, right? So people who will sign up over the summer with Gelt also get a discount, but also have the chance to really, really improve their tax situation. So that's a behavioral change that obviously we have to enact in a very kind of structured industry, but hopefully we'll manage. I trust us.
So I have one last question today, and I think this could be applicable to someone who's, new to an organization at senior level like yourself, whether you work in a marketing agency. What was your thought process on where to start with Gelt? With your marketing ideas and initiative, like where is a starting point you'd recommend someone take, whether, like I said, they're new senior level or they're an agency coming in, just so they can hit the ground running? And it sounds like with you, within 60 days, you're going to start deploying some ad campaigns to do some testing and generate some leads for the pipeline.
Yeah. So my first advice would be, when joining a new company, no matter what stage the company's in, don't come in and break things, right? Take the first month and a half to learn, to listen to people, to understand what's working, to understand what's not working, to know where exactly you fit in and whose toes you need to be really careful not to step on, and who will gladly, take your help and assistance. And then once you sort of covered and understood what has the company been through so far, what they've tried and worked, what they've tried and didn't work, and what they haven't tried at all yet, that's when, coming in and suggesting a plan would be the right time. I would also say from day one, or I guess 2 weeks in, I've started kind of having conversations on a weekly or bi-weekly basis with managers in all departments, from R&D to operations to the tax team. We don't always have a million items on our agenda, but just kind of bouncing ideas off of them and them kind of telling me what they're working on helps me a lot, and I hope it helps them as well. So kind of building those relationships across the organization from the start is great. And yeah, just don't come with any preconceptions. Kind of see what works for the new place and roll with it.
And you and Spencer became best friends pretty quickly.
I don't know if that's friends, but we're yeah, I love Spencer. I have to say, the team at Gelt, I guess also because it's a small company still, but very homey, very friendly. And I really, really like the people I get to work with.
Love it. And can you end with links, social media channels, best ways to follow up with you or Gelt to inquire?
Sure. So I'm still Assaf Frances on LinkedIn. I haven't, that stays the same. Gelt is Gelt. Some people think we're called Gilt, but it's Gelt, Gelt. And our website is joingelt.com. And of course, feel free to always shoot me an email, shoot me a message, any questions, any comments, feedback. I'd love to hear it.
Perfect. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Andrew.